Welcome. This is Spotlight. I'm Pastor Dan, and we're wrestling with marriage and relationships, close, deeply fulfilling relationships, and our longing for that. We want to be good at it. You're going to be best at something in your life. Why not be best at close relationships? I was listening to a sermon by Tim Keller, who's just fantastic, and wished I had filled my life with more of him early on when I was preaching and writing more sermons, because he's really good. And he was wrestling with Trinity, but I have wrestled with this idea also, but he had it much deeper than me. And he said that the Trinity can make your head hurt. Yes, it can. But I asked this question, and he basically asked it too. Was there love in God before he created anybody? And people said, yeah, there probably was. If there wasn't love before he created, then there was power, creative power, before there was love. You can see how dangerous that would be. And we've got evidences all over the world of people who have power but without love. So we really need love to be before power. The love will control that power and guide that power. And so somewhere there was somebody, something to love when there was just the one God. And so there were multifaceted sides of his personality, whatever way we want to work with that, and we'll find out when we see him face to face. There was love. And there was love within this holy oneness who was in us. Let us make man in our image. And in that mystery, we find the core of what marriage and relationships and close friends and small groups can be, should be, ought to be. And the only way they can be is to channel that kind of oneness from God in the multifaceted of the personality. So we would say, may the oneness of the triune God become part of the two of you, and may the two of you become one. So in lots of weddings, we sneak that little thought in. And it really has to be true, is that the only way we resist the natural devolution of who we are apart from God. Apart from God, we become selfish and powerful and competitive and keeping score and difficult and insensitive and selfish and all kinds of bad things that kill marriage. But when we're with God, then we have that multifaceted relational love. And this one God that has more than one side to him has these wonderful characteristics of always deferring to the other. The Holy Spirit is always pointing to Christ, sending people to Christ, drawing people to Christ, convincing people of Christ. We can't do anything with having Christ come into our life without the Holy Spirit. The Father is pointing forward to Jesus. My Son, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. He's always honoring the Son. Jesus is always honoring the Father. And he is saying, I just do what my Father tells me to do. My words are not my own. They are the Father's words. They're all deferring to the other. And of course, that's what marriage is supposed to be. And if you want oneness, that's the only way, is to constantly be deferring, honoring, pointing to the other. We don't do that, do we? We want to keep score. We want to win. We want to have power. LA Times said an article one time, they said the average couple spends the first 10 years fighting for power. Well, that has nothing to do with Jesus. Jesus has nothing to do with that. Jesus lives in peace. Jesus deferential. He who was first will be last. Last will be first. And so I invite you in all relationships to invite the multifaceted one God to come into your life and channel his very best and watch magic happen. Watch relationships become more and more one. Watch bondedness come as people just are filled with kindness and graciousness that only comes from God. The multifaceted group of personalities becomes one. We just spent weeks with a few couples and then finally one couple. And we just love them. They're gracious and kind. And we try to be gracious and kind back to them. And the bondedness that we have, where we just delight in being with each other, is a taste, I think, of what the delight the Trinity have. And you think that's what made the cross so amazing, is that God was willing to give that up. This oneness that they had for an eternity, now they're willing to rip it up at the risk of never getting it back for the sake of saving you and me. That's differentialness. So may we say a prayer here today, asking God and His fullness to come into us. And may you and all your relationships begin to achieve oneness, in differentness, in uniqueness, but coming to that bond of oneness. It's a Spotlight. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Spotlight. We're so excited about this. We hope that you'll subscribe and so you'll get all of them. And please just forward it on to others and tell other people about it. And let's just see what kind of an audience we can get for these messages of Spotlight. God bless you.